Hi, everybody. I'm Donna Cooper. I'm the Executive Director of Public Citizens for Children and Youth. Thank you so much for joining us today for our Montgomery County Teen Town Hall. This is the second town hall meeting that Public Citizens for Children and Youth has hosted. Last week, we heard from teens in Bucks County, and today we're going to hear from teens in Montgomery County, from across the county, about the implications of what are likely to be very large cuts to public education. And we're so grateful that so many of our state lawmakers from Montgomery County and our Congresswoman from Montgomery County are joining us today so that they can hear directly from students about what's at stake here. And we know that our elected officials have been champions for education. What we found last week in our state lawmakers uniformly commented, as did our congressman, that hearing from the kids in this format was particularly elucidating in terms of really what's at stake here, and not just in terms of what's at stake for the children who are speaking today, who we are so grateful that are here, but what's at stake for the lower classmen and their younger brothers and sisters. And we hope you'll carry that message back into the halls of governance, whether they're at the state level or the US Congress, and do what you can to protect our schools from cuts. I want to take a moment today to say that this would not be possible without the extraordinary cooperation of the wonderful superintendents in Montgomery County. I'm going to acknowledge them. Dr. Fetcher, and I apologize if I said that wrong, from the great school district of Abington, where PCCY's own education policy director lives and sends her children. Dr. Marseille at Cheltenham. Dr. Plenarski from Eastern Center for Arts and Technology, Dr. Griffin from Hatboro Horsham, who has a mighty wall behind him with his school graphics, nicely done, Dr. David Heiser from Lower Moreland, Dr. Dormer in Norristown, Dr. Dietrich from North Penn, Dr. Barbara Russell from Perkiomen Valley, Dr. William Shirk from Pottsgrove, Dr. Stephen Rodriguez, a great friend of ours from Pottstown. Dr. Frank Gallagher, also a super friend of PCCY's from Souderton. Dr. Steve Yanni, we're so glad you're here today, from Upper Dublin. Dr. John Toleno from Upper Merion. Dr. Alan Roche from Upper Perkiomen. Dr. Jim Crisfield from Wissahickon School District. And the ever non-stoppable Tina Vallado Esquire from the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit. These folks have made it possible for these teens to be here today. They are doing yeoman's work right now as we've suffered through this closure, and they are the ones that are going to have to remedy any challenges that are presented by our budgets that are not addressed by federal or state action. I will point out that we are very hopeful that the conversation from today will make it possible for you to take back the message from these students to fight on behalf of public education, both at your school boards, with your elected officials, and with the elected officials at the state and federal level. Now, I need to check in. Has Congresswoman Madeleine Dean rejoined us? Well, I'm hoping she can hear us, because I know that the Congressman is one to go with the flow. She is extraordinarily, an extraordinary champion for Pennsylvania in the US Congress. When she gets back in, we're gonna give her a chance to speak because she has graciously agreed to be the headliner for this event. And I know that we'll be reaching out to her to help her get on. And Shirley, I don't know if you want to try and take that on for us. I can see that you're trying to do that. Thank you. So we're going to keep going here since we're on Facebook Live. And we are going to start with hearing from our students. I think that you will find that their comments are very apropos to the moment. And we're going to start with Liam Forrest. Liam is at the Abington Senior High School. And Liam, we really want to hear from you this morning. So thank you for being here.
Hi, thank you for having me. I would like to talk.
Speak up a little bit more.
Okay. I would like to talk about how the GSA at my school is invaluable to me because as a trans student, school is often uniquely stressful for me. What bathroom I can use, like what changing room I can use, and my physical safety are calculations I have to make all the time. In addition to that kind of stress, my life can be very isolating because I have to balance my identity between my family, my school, friend groups, and work, which can be a challenging and lonely experience. It's not an exaggeration to say that the Abington GSA has saved my life, and it's saved the life of many of my friends as well. Our club is a place where people can be themselves without fear of judgment, and they can explore who they are. I often feel like my safety and who I am are afterthoughts in my area, but I've never felt unsafe at the GSA. The very opposite, in fact. We're a family when a lot of kids' families aren't there for them. Recently, our president has presented the faculty with issues that queer students like myself face, and I've seen real change. Teachers who used to misgender me or like not use my right name have started correcting themselves, and they've even like checked in about things like sending letters home to my parents. The GSA helped me with these problems that I used to have to navigate and juggle on my own, in addition to just being a teenager, which is pretty stressful on its own. When I'm in the GSA, I know that I'm safe, but they haven't only helped me. This year, we ran a donation for a youth homeless shelter because about 40% of homeless youth identify as LGBTQ+. And we're also a place of celebration. We participated in the Halloween trunk or treat program our school puts on for younger kids in our community to have a safe Halloween experience. And we did all of this without any school funding, which we're very proud of, but we want to do more. We want to have a karaoke night, movie parties, and a day of speeches, which would be activities that would be open to the whole student body, regardless of membership to the GSA, but we're not sure we can accomplish these goals if funding gets cut. Additionally, our sponsor, Miss J, who we love, is a special ed teacher whose classes are often seen as expendable, and she could lose her job, impacting not just our club, but all of her students as well. I just wanted to share how important this club is to me and how impactful a community for students like myself is.
Well, Liam, what a way to kick this off, to really point to the role that schools play in providing social supports to every student and creating an environment to join clubs, take action on your own behalf, have agency. You know, we don't just learn to read and write in school, we actually grow up to become amazing adults in schools. So thank you so much, Liam. What a terrific way to open this Teen Town Hall. Karis Hudson is from the Eastern Center for Arts and Technology. Karis, please share your thoughts.
Hi, I want to start off by saying thank you to everybody who took the time today to listen to all of us. I've had the privilege of attending not only a great high school, but Eastern as well. Being that it is a technical high school branched off of academic schools, funding is already extremely limited as much of it comes from sending schools. Personally, I've had immense amount of trouble focusing and participating in school, and the opportunity to attend a technical school has helped me in ways that I can't even begin to explain. My grades have improved, my personal skills have improved, and I really do believe that I've just become a better person all around. I've been able to focus on my career goals and develop leadership skills that will more than benefit me in the future. Without the opportunities and advancement programs that I've been fortunate enough to participate in at Eastern, I would not be attending college or have any structure for my future. The school funding alone is a huge chunk out of the sending schools' pockets, but the equipment and the technology needed to house the trades does not come cheap either. Along with those costs, the community that Eastern builds and strives for is not found anywhere else. The potential cutting and or ceasing of the funds would be extremely detrimental not only to the school itself, but the students personally. So I just ask that the thought of not only keeping the students, the schools afloat crosses your mind, but how it will personally impact each and every student as well. Thank you.
Well, Karis, what a terrific contribution that we think about the ecosystem of education, and that school districts, everybody on this call who's a superintendent knows every penny matters. And when a kid goes to a regional area of a technical school, it's money directly out of their budget. And so further stress on that budget would harm students like you who are taking the opportunity to go there. And so, Karis, could you just tell us one thing? Where are you going to college?
I'm going to Pennsylvania College of Technology next year.
What will you study?
I'm studying welding.
We love that. That's terrific. What a great field. What a great thing. And having a non-traditional, having a female welder. Okay, I'm ready for you to be a poster. Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So at the other end of the county, we want to hear from Sophie Roth from Lower Merion.
Hi, good morning. My name is Sophie Roth, and I'm a current senior at Lower Merion High School. Today I wanted to talk about the importance of my school's STEM programs, specifically the elective classes and the personal impact that STEM classes have had on my life. I'm lucky enough to attend a school that offers an array of science and math electives in addition to the required courses. Since elementary school, I've had a love for science, and in my 4 years at Lower Merion, I've elected to take almost all of the science courses that my school has offered. STEM classes at LM are incredibly engaging, welcoming, and impactful. Personally, it's these science classes, specifically my anatomy and physiology class, that have inspired me to pursue a career in medicine. LM has always had the resources and equipment necessary for the classes, specifically the lab portions. In anatomy, the lab program was the key to my success as I'm a visual learner, and I know many of my peers are as well. Having the hands-on experience was vital to my understanding of the material and really showed me all that science has to offer. Thinking of all that could change in the upcoming months, it makes me sad to think that those younger than me may not have the opportunity to take elective science courses at LM and at other neighboring public schools in the county due to lack of funding. I believe that it's in the classroom, learning and trying new things where students find their passions. Elective STEM classes lead to thinking that extends beyond the classroom, which greatly impacts our community. In my opinion, their value is incomparable, and it's important to continue funding in the schools that offer these classes and also to start funding in others that don't have these opportunities. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. And Sophie, what really touches, I think, all of us is your desire that every kid get the quality of education that you could get at Lower Merion, and the beauty of electives, which so many schools, because they don't have those resources, can't offer the breadth that you have. So appreciate you really making that point about other kids as well at other districts. And I will say that some of you know our state lawmakers are thinking in the House of Representatives of freezing property taxes. And were that to occur, even the great school district of Lower Merion would find it difficult to offer the breadth of resources that it does to students. Those would be at risk even in Lower Merion, let alone the implications at school districts like Norristown and Pottstown and Cheltenham that are so overly dependent on their local property taxes with little resources. So thank you so much, Sophie. That was great. Cydney Suber is here from Norristown. Speaking of a district with a very different situation, we'd like to hear from you.
Hi, first off, I'd just like to say thank you for even giving me this opportunity to speak today. Today, I just wanted to talk about how I've lived in the Norristown Area School District my entire life, and I've seen firsthand what a lack of funding can do to a school and its surrounding schools. Currently, our science department is suffering. I've seen our AP environmental class get cut due to a lack of interest, and classes like art chemistry or anatomy not having the most effective materials to do labs or even have that hands-on learning experience that they usually would offer. Currently, I actually have my little brother in our elementary school, and I would just like to see the same, if not better, experiences offered to him as they have to me in the past, because the same science department is the one that gave me the drive to want to be a veterinarian today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And having that kind of aspiration and that kind of spirit in a school district that has so many financial struggles like Norristown, you just show us that it's possible to do a lot with a little, but we hope that, you know, in going forward, we wouldn't have such disparity, and certainly we don't want to set things back, as you said, in Norristown. So Maggie Nee is here from Perkiomen Valley High School. Maggie, we're eager to hear from you.
Hi, thank you again for this opportunity. Like every other student has said, this means a lot to us. I would like to speak about the valuable music department that I've been a part of since as early as I could be in 4th grade. The marching band that I'm in now has been a community that welcomes everybody, and
Can people hear Maggie? So Maggie, we lost you for a sec.
I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Now we can.
Okay, should I start over? Okay, so I would like to speak about the Valuable Music program at my school that has really changed me as a person. My music educators have been so influential to me throughout my entire music career as I started in 4th grade. It inspired my little sister to join music because she saw how much that I enjoyed it. And the marching band that I am in is so inclusive, and I can't think of any other community inside my school that is as inclusive as the one I'm a part of. But most of all, I think about my music educators, my band director's family. I'm very close with his son, and I can't imagine how detrimental it would be to him and his family if our music department were to get cut, or if his pay were to get cut to save money. The way that they have taught me and the way that they have made me grow as a person, I will be thanking them for the rest of my life. The skills that I have learned through music will help me definitely throughout my entire career. And I can't imagine what it would be like if I were to not have that opportunity anymore. Thank you.
Maggie, thank you so much for really bringing to light the importance of the arts programs and the band and the music. And it's so inspiring to hear that you not only saw that as important for your own personal growth, but the inclusivity that was there. It's just the values of the kids so far today have been just inspiring. Congresswoman Dean has joined us. We're going to go through the 2 more students who are ready to speak and then invite her back in. So Kishan Patel is from the great school district of Pottstown. We're very eager to hear from Kishan.
Hi, my name is Kishan Patel, and I'm a current junior at Pottstown High School, and I've been a student at Pottstown School District for my entire life. I'm going to talk about how impactful teachers are and the effect they have on our education. While I love my school district and am full of Pottstown pride, I can't overlook how the lack of funding has impacted my education. One major effect is the high rate of teacher turnover. Since teachers in my school district are among the lowest paid in the region, many extremely qualified and impactful teachers leave. In middle school, I remember having 3 different science teachers for a single class, and overall, that was the class I struggled with the most. I saw my grades slipping, and I was slowly losing my passion for science. I couldn't form a bond or connection to my teachers, so I was uncomfortable asking any questions. Teachers are such a vital component to the education system, and they impact students like me tremendously. One of the best music teachers I ever had, still to this day, left to go to another school because he said it was the best for his family financially. I was both heartbroken and outraged at that time, since I saw firsthand that where I lived controlled the quality of my teachers and the quality of my education. Another experience I can recall happened during this year in high school. One of my teachers stayed until 7 p.m. in the classroom so I could finish all my tests, since I couldn't take them since I was at a 3-day state's DECA competition. The amount of commitment surprised me, and I'm still grateful for how dedicated teachers are today. Even during this pandemic, we can see how valuable teachers are as parents struggle to teach their kids. Even though change might not occur while I'm still in high school, I hope the future for Pottstown and its schools holds equity and fair funding, as we are currently underfunded by about $13.8 million. While other schools have the problems of what type of stadium they should build next, we face the problems of paying teachers reasonable salaries. Overall, students should not have the quality of their education and access to opportunities defined by their zip code. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm sure that you make Pottstown proud. And thank you for speaking to the importance of teachers. The disparity in education funding in Pennsylvania, as you point out, plays out directly in the decisions that teachers have to make as they raise their own children. So we got to make sure it doesn't get any worse in this pandemic and see it as an opportunity to make things better. We're going to round out our speakers from the great Wissahickon High School with Evan Boroch, who's joining us today. So Evan, we want to hear from you.
Good morning. My name is Evan Boroch, and I'm a senior at Wissahickon High School. Thank you for everything that you're doing to help all those impacted by this crisis. As we're speaking, there is construction on an expansion project at my old elementary school because Wissahickon School District is experiencing a boom in growth. Next school year, there will be many kids with all types of needs: speech, OT, reading support, and other kinds of special education. 10 years ago, I was one of them. In elementary school, I had intensive speech and OT. Without that early intervention, I likely would not be where I am today. As funding dries up and the district is forced to spend more to expand without increasing class sizes, I worry that these programs will receive less funding. This would hurt one of the most vulnerable populations, one that already has to put extra effort in just to catch up to everyone else. If funding is cut for special education programs, students will struggle to catch up for the rest of their lives. In a more general sense, early education is critical to closing the achievement gap. Studies show that if a child is not at grade level reading proficiency by 3rd grade, they likely never will be. This is crucial to giving all children who are disadvantaged a fighting chance for the rest of their lives. I know that many seniors were looking forward to graduation and other end-of-year celebrations, but in the end, they are merely just formalities. Not having a senior class trip won't permanently affect us for the rest of our lives, but reduced funding for early childhood education will affect the next generation. So if something has to be cut, I only ask that it be the peripheral activities for seniors. Thank you.
Well, that's a pretty generous and moving statement, putting others in front of yourself. So thank you so much, Evan. And thank you for speaking to the importance of special education and keeping that front of mind, as well as early childhood education. What a beautiful statement. So for our lawmakers who are on the phone today, you know, these are the students we wanted to kick off this town meeting with, but we also would like to hear from you. And then we have a set of students from additional school districts that are prepared with questions for our lawmakers. So what we'd like to do right now is give the floor to Congresswoman Dean, and then we'll give you all as lawmakers a chance to say hello to the students, make a comment or two within a very short time period, because they have a lot more to say this morning. Congressman Dean, we are so glad you're here in person. We can see you. Hopefully we can hear you.
Hello, I hope you can hear me. Okay, I'm just going to say that the last 30 minutes of trying to get on this call, I have so much more sympathy for the teachers who have been trying to teach our students remotely. Thank you. Thank you. I'm sure you're much more sophisticated than I. I'm very pleased to join you, and I was able to listen to much of the wonderful remarks of the students who have already spoken. Just quickly, because apparently I'm going to be called to a vote very soon. I really am so happy to be a part of this conversation. COVID and this pandemic have hit all of us very, very hard. And I just want to talk about the numbers very quickly. For example, in Pennsylvania, there have been, as of yesterday, 4,218 deaths from COVID. In Montgomery County, 454 deaths from COVID. In Berks County, I also represent Berks, 196 deaths. This is a very serious pandemic. And so I want to start by saying thank you to all the teachers, all the administrators, all the students who have taken this so extremely seriously, because at first glance, and most importantly, this is a public health crisis that is leading to our economic crisis, that is leading to the difficulties, the challenges posed for our educational system. But I just give all of you such extraordinary credit. We do know that the economic crisis that's here has posed a huge revenue problem to our states, our local governments, to our school districts. I've had the chance to be on calls with school districts, with students. You know that I have a high school advisory panel that I had a chance to have a Zoom call with, but to talk to teachers and superintendents and students, I'm really just, again, thankful to all of you for the sacrifices you're making, and stay strong, don't burn out. That's for the teachers and the students. Thank you to the administrators too. We've passed 4 pieces of legislation connected to the coronavirus. You saw in the CARES Act, I thought I'd talk dollars real quickly because we're going to go vote on some more resources to get to states and to schools. But in the CARES Act, that included more than $30 billion worth of support for education, both K through 12 and higher ed. In that was $13.5 billion available for states to send to our schools. 90% of that to go to local education. We knew that was not enough. That was not satisfactory to me, to most anybody in our caucus, because of the extraordinary revenue decline that these state legislators are watching these numbers up close and personally. So what are we doing today? We have another package. It's called the HEROES Package. And I like that the speaker named it the HEROES Package for the simple reason that it recognizes people. At the base of this, it's not numbers, it's not dollars, it's people, it's individuals, it's families, it's workers, it's students, it's teachers in our education system. The HEROES Act aims at driving hundreds of billions of dollars to state and local governments. The estimate is we need $650 billion to get to state and local governments, and then another $300 billion to the most local of governments. So today we're about to pass a bill, I believe we will pass it, that will drive huge amounts of money to state and local governments to make sure that we can retain our excellent teachers, at our police departments, our sanitation workers, our public health care workers. In that package, in the package we're considering today, the HEROES package, is $90 billion for a state fiscal stabilization fund to drive all kinds of dollars and resources directly to the schools for the many challenges that are posed as a result of coronavirus. Whether it's literally keeping the schools cleaned in preparation for reopening, with costs associated with different institutional time, teacher training, students' needs, counseling needs, and others. I'm so impressed by some of the things that some of these students said about how they are staying connected and how desperately important that is, and how your teachers want to stay connected with you and all of your classmates. But we know that we have to drive a tremendous amount of money because of the economic collapse. As one economist calls it, we had to put our economy in a coma. When you do that, that means the dollars driving to schools, to paying our teachers dry up. And we have a responsibility at the federal level to make sure that doesn't happen. I'm pleased to be partners here with state legislators who know we have to get you more money and you have to have it flexibly in order to deal with the coronavirus. And we cannot let a revenue shortfall exacerbate the inequity in our education system. I was a state legislator for 6.5 years, had the chance to be with all of you, and we knew we didn't have enough revenues then. Well, I'm here and I'm determined to partner with you to drive as much money as possible to our schools, because you guys and your education is my future too. With that, Donna, I'm going to drop off. Or I'll stay as long as I can, but I'm going to be called to vote. Thank you for the
Thank you very much, and good luck with the vote. We know that when that bill, the HEROES Act, passes the House, that's the first step. I ask everybody on this call to make sure that Senators Casey and Toomey know how important it is that that also pass the Senate. We could be a little bit discouraged by Senate leadership comments that the bill is dead on arrival, but actually the power of the people is the most important part of the process in this pandemic. And we encourage everybody in a completely nonpartisan way to make sure that the HEROES Act has your support so that your teachers and others who, childcare workers and others who are really working so hard to keep the economy going and keep our lives going, get the resources they need, and especially this flexible money coming into the schools. Congressman Dean, thank you so much for being such a great champion when you were in the State House and in the US Congress, and for being with us today. We're going to turn to our state legislators now. Again, you could just say hi to the students. You could make a comment, but we want to keep it short because we still have several more students who are ready to speak, and we want to make sure they have the time. So we'll start with Senator Maria Collette. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much, Donna. I'm really excited to be here, and thank you, PCCY, for convening this forum. I'm really excited to be here to hear from all of our students and great educators about what's going on in your school districts and how we can be of service to you and help you. Liam, I wanted to thank you for your comments and tell you to make sure to invite me to karaoke night. I love karaoke and I'm ready. I'll get right in there with you. Maggie, thank you so much for talking about music. I played the violin from the 3rd grade all the way through high school till I graduated, and it was something that really helped me grow as a person. And you're right, nothing beats that education of music. And finally, Evan, I want to thank you for the generous offer that you made to cancel peripheral senior activities in honor of the students that will come behind you. My own son is a 2nd grader at Lower Gwinnett Elementary, so I expect nothing less than that magnanimous attitude from Wisc Nation. So thank you all for having me here with you today. I'm ready to learn from you. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Art Haywood, a long-standing champion for schools and whose wife serves on the Cheltenham School Board. Hi, so is Senator Art Haywood with us? Maybe he stepped away. Senator Leach, could you unmute and join us?
Sure. Thank you, Donna, and thank you all for being here today. I can sort of relate a little bit to what you're going through. My own kids, my daughter is a freshman in college, and my son is a junior in high school. And they've both been home since spring break, and they couldn't be more excited to spend every minute of the day with me. And so, you know, there is that. I would say that we were, and I've talked to Donna before about this, and some of my colleagues, I mean, we weren't funding education appropriately even before this crisis. And so we are, you know, this is only going to be adding difficulties onto what already for a lot of school districts was a difficult situation. And we have to do everything we can to try to mitigate that. And obviously, some of that depends on the federal government acting. I wish Congress well today. And certainly, there's a number of things that we're working on that we can do. We don't have the funding capacity, but there's some other things we can do. But I look forward to hearing your ideas and hearing about your experiences. And, you know, figuring out how we can all get through this together. So thank you, Donna, for putting this together, and thank you all for your thoughts. I can't wait to hear more of them.
Thank you so much. Senator Art Haywood.
Thank you so much. I think I was on mute. Can you hear me now?
We can.
That's good. So I want to thank you and thank all of the students for their presentations. We have a significant challenge in the state. Our budget probably is $3 to $4 billion short. And of course, the dollars that Congresswoman Dean mentioned will help us. And we're looking forward to getting those resources. But when it comes to the challenge of our budget, I believe, and a number of people who will join me in recognizing that education is a priority. Education is the foundation of opportunity. And it's been the case for my family. I went to public school and college and graduate school and law school and built a family and a career based upon a strong public education. And we've been very fortunate that our children have had the same opportunity here in Cheltenham Township to have a strong education, which is a foundation for their lives and their careers. So I want you to know that we are clear that the only hope for a nation that can create economic opportunity, not just economic opportunity, but cultural opportunity, scientific opportunity, opportunity in the arts. These are all created by a strong foundation of education. And I, along with a number of my colleagues, are committed to it. We will do everything that we can to maximize resources into public education so that our nation really has a chance to meet the challenges that are ahead. I look forward to hearing more from the students. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Katie Muth, major champion for public education, another part at the opposite end of the county. So pleased you're here today.
Thank you for having me, everyone, and thank you to all the students for sharing your stories and bringing a ray of sunshine and hope. I think sometimes being a member of the General Assembly can become a little bit dooming, and you have rejuvenated me in terms of seeing some young faces. The saddest part about this time of the year is that we can't go to your award ceremonies and meet you in person and talk to you, but I encourage all of you to still reach out to us and engage, and thank you for being flexible and adaptable as you all deal, families, parents, students deal with a crazy time, a time where we're trying to figure a lot of things out, and you all seem to have tremendous energy still left to keep learning in whatever capacity that looks like. So thank you for including me today, and I look forward to hearing the rest of all of your stories.
Thank you. And I have to say that every one of these senators that have spoken to you have been extraordinary champions for education. And I want to bring in the last member of the Pennsylvania Senate in a second, but I start with a comment that's added to the comment post, and I, as the moderator, take a little bit of privilege because Maddie Fitch is an 8th grader at Springfield High School, where I went to school. And Maddie Fitch talked about how amazing her teachers have been during the closure, and I want her to really know that we would like to have her stay on, and all the students who have not had a chance to speak because we didn't sign them up ahead of time, stay on. We want to record your stories. But Maddie talks about she can't imagine a time in middle school that she would have made it without her guidance counselor. And she would not have been the success she is without her guidance counselor. And so middle school kids face a lot of challenges. I know that the senator's own family members have attended Springfield High as well and have relied on the extraordinary supports of public education to help their kids make the best decisions and really focus on education in the most positive way. So thank you, Maddie. And Senator, a voice from your own school district as an introduction for you. And you have to unmute.
Senator who?
I'm sorry, Senator Vincent Hughes.
What's up, Donna? What's up to all my colleagues? Maria Collette, I did not know you played the violin. That's you keep surprising me. You keep surprising me. That's great stuff. All the students, all the teachers, everybody on here. I just, first of all, just want to thank you all for participating. You know, if PCCY is calling upon you, if Donna and her crew are calling upon you to get engaged and get involved in something, it's worthwhile, it's meaningful. You should always answer yes when that call is made. I just got to say that the thing that I want you all to take away from this is this process of public policy, which is what you're involved in, advocating for schools and education and childcare and everything that goes along with that. This is a full-time thing. It's a fully engaged thing. And that you've chosen this part is a way that you learn how to do this really for the rest of your lives, all right? And that you're going to have to fight this fight for the rest of your lives. It's not just being right about the issue, and you all are right about everything that you stand for. And of course, you know, we support you 1,000%, but it's always about convincing other people that this is the right thing too, and you gotta stay engaged. And I can tell you now, more than any time, for all of us who have been in public policy, have been elected office for the years that we've been in, that there's more, although it's a tragic moment in this nation's history, okay, for a whole bunch of reasons, it is a tremendous opportunity, all right, to seize the moment and to make the wholesale changes and the wholesale investments that are necessary. And you will be the voice of that. You will be the voice of that. I can assure you, any major change that's happened in the world has come from the passion, the intellect, and the desire of young people. I move my seating around because behind me is one of my favorite heroes, Nelson Mandela. I don't know if you can see it too well, but he started out as a young champion in the movement to free and to break the apartheid system in South Africa, and he was victorious. It took him a long time. It took him staying in jail for 27 years, but in the end, he was successful. Every major transformation has occurred from the passion and the commitment and the drive and the determination from young people, and you are it. You are it. See yourselves, connect with each other here, okay? I represent White Marsh and Upper Dublin and Conshohocken. You are connected. You are fully connected. Stay connected, stay strong, and know that in the end, you can win, and we will win. Just keep it going, and I thank you so very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. And for the students who are here, Senator Hughes is the Senate Democratic Chair of the Appropriations Committee. So he has an extraordinarily unique opportunity to advocate for education in our process, and we are so grateful that he's from our region of the state, is a public school advocate, and as you can tell, is passionate about making sure you're part of the conversation. As I said, we have many students who are signed up and ready to ask questions of our lawmakers today, but we are also here today with so many members of the Pennsylvania House. What I would love our House members to do is just quickly say hello, starting with Representative Tim Briggs. Representative Briggs, are you on mute? I'm going to come back to you. Representative Joe Cerisi.
Can you hear me now? It's like a Verizon commercial.
Yes.
Or he went to mobile, whatever he went to Sprint. Well, thank you very much. It's great to be on this call with so many people, so many great supporters of public education. I am thrilled that two of the superintendents in my district, Steve Rodriguez and Dr. Russell, are on this call, and students from Pottstown and Perkiomen had the opportunity to speak about their experiences. I also want to give a shout out to someone who I hired many years ago, Dr. Alan Roach, superintendent of Upper Perk, serving on the school board for 12 years. I really know what the issues and the problems and what we see in public education. I've dedicated a lot of my career to making sure that public education has everything they need. But for all the students this year, I'm going to put it the way you all feel. It was a crap way to end your year. I get it. We all get it. My son is going into his senior year of college, and he told me he wanted to skip next year if it had to be online. And I told him there's no way he's doing a skip year. But the thing you've all learned about this is we have to be resilient. We've got to find another way to get by. And this is an opportunity for us to look at what the future really means in education and how we shape the future of education, because it will be shaped differently from this point forward. But everyone on this call is an advocate to give you all everything that you need in the future, and those students who are behind you who are younger. But we need your input. You need to tell us what this last few months felt like, what you felt was good and bad, and what you think that if this happens again, how we should, what kind of bills we should put out and how we can get to them. To the musician, I can't remember who it is. Was it Maggie? Who was the musician on here? I can't remember which one of you guys. I myself am a musician. I can't imagine having to gone through this in college like that online to be a musician. It's all about the interaction, the social part of it. But it's another opportunity for you to advance and another way to look at how we get our art out there to the community. So I don't want to take up a lot of time. A lot of my colleagues are on this, but I want to thank each of you for being here with us, and please keep in touch with us with your feelings and how we should move forward in education.
Thank you, Representative Cerisi. You're so passionate, and we're so appreciative. We wanted to make sure that everybody knows that Representative Pandalesio was with us, but she had to go to another meeting. But one of her next door representatives is here, Representative Mary Jo Daly, who's an extraordinary leader for us. Mary Jo.
Thank you so much, Donna, and thank you for the invitation to be part of this wonderful Zoom event. It's been great, and I'm going to have to get off at about 5 minutes to noon because I also have another Zoom call. But to the students, you are wonderful, and your stories were terrific and inspiring. And I'm kind of hoping that this Zoom is being recorded, so maybe we can catch up because we have to leave early. So I'm going to leave it out. And I also need to give a shout out to the superintendents because I know a few of you, obviously not all of you, but the whole group has made me very proud to be a representative from Montgomery County because of the dedication to education, the understanding of how important it is, where your whole lives depend on it. So thank you all. And I'm sorry to have to leave early, but that's life too. So thanks.
Thank you. We know you're in there fighting for us. Representative Liz Handbridge.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to thank the students in particular. Two of the things that I heard that really struck me is you all talking about helping other people who follow you. So empathizing with those who follow, and then also being an advocate for education. As Senator Haywood and others have said, this is the foundation of your future. And I'm impressed because both of those have the hallmark of civic engagement, and we really need you to be engaged. We need you to keep stepping forward, keep talking to other people. This is such a hard time in our history because a lot of sort of opposing forces not open the economy, saving lives, worrying about the future of the economy, worrying about funding schools, those sorts of things. They're pulling, and a lot of people are scared. And having empathy and engaging with the people around you are really how we're going to have these conversations to try to move things forward. So thank you for your leadership. Thank you for the superintendents for everything you're doing, because I can't imagine getting everything that you've had thrown at you to try to educate and cultivate all the students under your care. And to my colleagues, I know we're all working very, very hard to help the people around us. So thank you for hosting this event.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Steve Malagari.
Good morning, Donna. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for having me on this call. I just wanted to express how amazed I am at the dedication to our young students on this call for their public advocacy, their willingness to want to make this system better for education. Public education is extremely important. I'm a product of it. I went to North Penn High School. I'm proud to have North Penn's superintendent, Dr. Kurt Dietrich, on this call, and also Souderton Area School District Superintendent, Dr. Frank Gallagher, and on this call as well. And it's amazing for me to see this advocacy happen. And this has been an unprecedented time for everybody. There have been challenges that I never would have thought we would have had to see this year alone. I think that for us, we have to continue pushing for public education, continue pushing for funding from the state and federal government to go back into education, to make sure that the programs that the schools rely on to make a well-rounded individual, such as art and music, and Senator Collette played the violin, I think. I played the cello. So maybe we can find a third participant for a trio within this audience here. But what I wanted to make sure that people knew was that we're continuing to fight every single day that we're in Harrisburg and also in our districts to make sure that public education funding is there for our school districts. It's important for the growth of our next generation that's going to be leading us one day and sitting in the seats that we're in. So I want to make sure that I expressed my gratitude to everybody on this call, and thank you for everything that you're doing, to all the students and to all the legislators as well, fellow colleagues, and to all of our administrators and staff members and faculty that are back at home in the districts teaching every single student. This has been a tough time for everyone, so I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for what you're doing for public education.
Thank you, Representative Malagari. I think you have your trio. Senator Haywood plays the trombone.
Wonderful.
I'm a public school student, so hopefully we can see the benefits to the breadth of public education. And speaking of that, a former teacher, now a state representative, Representative Steve McCarter.
Thank you very much, Donna, and thanks to everybody who's on this call. As a former teacher for 35 years, education is my heart and soul, and will never be forgotten in that context. The comments I think of all the students have made today are just incredible. They show exactly the importance of what that education is. Not only is it the path into our future, but it's education. It also gives us the path to the past, to understand what has happened before. As a history teacher, I always remind everybody of that we can learn from the past. And if we don't, we're doomed to repeat the failures of the past. And, you know, Sophie, I want to thank you very much. Sophie Roth from Lower Merion High School, which is where I spent 34 of those years teaching and talking about the importance of electives. And I'll just give one quick example. The example of one of the electives that I taught at Lower Merion was archaeology. And it was a course that took place during the summers and also during the fall and spring that we had the chance to do some not only exciting digs, but also to test that scientific method out. And for people who went through that course, like Neil Shubin, who's now one of the foremost paleontologists of the world and teaching anatomy, Sophie, at the University of Chicago. So you have some great shoes to fill of people who've come through Lower Merion to be able to do that. And the importance of those electives and the importance of music and the arts is so critical, and we'll be fighting like hell coming up in the next several weeks here in Harrisburg to make sure we get the funding that we need to keep all those programs going in Pennsylvania. Thank you.
That's the spirit, Representative McCarter. That's what we need. Representative Ben Sanchez.
Thank you, Donna, and good morning to all. Really appreciate everybody being on this call. I represent the people of Upper Dublin, part of Upper Dublin, and of course my hometown of Abington. And I see Dr. Yanni and Dr. Fetcher on the call. Welcome to them. Welcome to the students from those districts. I attended Abington school system all throughout, and as do my children. So much like all of us, I have a really vested interest in public education. And just wanted to echo some of the themes of positivity and add one more thing to that. You know, I'm reminded of the saying that with great crisis comes great opportunity. And we've talked about the opportunity for the future and shaping and reshaping education, but don't leave the gift you've been given right now on the table, which is the gift of time. You know, you've got some time to really reflect, expand your mind, you know, expand your health, do some things with the free time you've been given now. I know there's a lot of remote education going on, but you definitely have more time because you're not moving around so much. So, you know, keep active, keep healthy, and learn some new things and use this time because you'll hopefully never have another time like it again. And with everybody else, I look forward to the fighting to change that future time too as well. So thank you all, and see you soon. I hope this is a continued dialogue.
Thank you, Representative. And we're so grateful. The last representative we'll hear from today is Representative Joe Webster, and then we're jumping right back in to hear from our students. Representative Webster.
Hi, thanks, everyone. You know, there's one advantage of being last in the alphabet, and you know, usually it's not an advantage, but when you go last, you can sometimes get the last word. I want to endorse a lot of the comments not already, particularly from Senators Haywood and Muth, and from Representatives Hambidge and Sanchez. There's ideas and kernels there. So I'll throw one more in, kind of going quickly in a different direction. I want to talk about trust. And since we're all lawmakers that are responding on this town hall tonight, this morning, I'll talk, you know, I'm talking about trust in government. And you've heard a lot of different arguments, different ways we talk about smaller government and smallest and all that. But we can't build a better Commonwealth or a better nation, let alone fund education, if we don't rebuild the trust that each of you as students and as young adults associate with your government. So I'll say one short thing for you to consider about all of us, and that is real leaders lead by example. Hold everyone you see ahead of you to that one simple value: lead by example. And that's the only way we'll regain some of that trust. I can tell you from my experience very quickly, your Congresswoman Madeleine Dean, the men and women that are standing with you today are doing that. They'll fight for your education budget and so many more things, you know, to make our nation better. But expect that. Always expect that real leaders lead by example. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And speaking of trust, I mean, we have a lot to worry about in this process, but we're so grateful that all of you are here as champions. I can see Representative Briggs. I'd love for him, if he wants to say a word, to do so. Please unmute your phone, Representative, and talk with us. Representative Briggs, can you hear us? Well, we'll come back if he chimes in. And I want to just say one more comment about the comment on trust. You know, in the Great Depression in the 1930s, school districts across the country shut down because the government ran out of money for education. It made decisions elsewhere. And in this situation, we have to both have trust and verify. So if your state representative wasn't here today or one of the people we introduced, we encourage you as superintendents, as students, as parents, as school board members to reach out and make sure that they listen to this video, which will be posted, listen to the students, so that you can hear from them directly about their intentions in this fight to save our school districts from closing. And I want to kick off the conversation with our lawmakers, with Gianna Quigley from Souderton High School. She has a question for our state lawmakers.
Okay, so I'm a senior at Souderton Area High School, so unfortunately my time in public school is over, which is why I wanted to speak on behalf of elementary age students. Like, they don't get a voice like I do. In-person schooling is very important for elementary age students developmentally. So I wanted to know how our state plans to handle potential setbacks in their curriculum next year. Like, will students be held back, or will we have adjustments to the curriculum for those who struggled with the in-person schooling for the remainder of their year?
Is there a lawmaker that feels like, I don't think we know the answers yet, but is there a lawmaker that has a point of view on this that they'd like to respond to Gianna?
Yes.
Senator Collette, will go with her first. Thank you.
You know, I just wanted to say, Gianna, thank you for the question. As I said, I have a second grader, and we're trying to do, you know, our homeschooling here with him every day, and it's been a real struggle to make sure that he's keeping his skill level up. We have several second graders on our street, and everyone's at a varying skill level, and I know it's going to be an incredible challenge for our teachers when we get back to school in the fall to assess where everyone is and make sure that no student is falling behind. So we're doing our very best to keep up with that schoolwork to make sure that he is turning in his assignments and really getting engaged and active, and the teachers are doing an incredible job of providing really great content for him and his classmates to learn from. But it is a struggle, and just like you said, he misses his classmates. He misses the interaction with his teacher. He misses the kind guidance his teacher gives him versus my husband and I, who are not educators, standing over him saying, did you do your math? Did you do your reading? You know, it's a lot different when you don't have that really good personal touch from the teacher that you love and trust. And I know he's ready to get back to that. It's going to be a challenge, but our educators are up to that challenge. Our administrators and superintendents are up to that challenge. I know they're going to do a really thorough assessment of all the skills that our students need so that they succeed, and make sure that they're getting caught up as best they can so that nobody falls behind. That really is the goal. Thank you for raising that issue, Gianna. It's so important.
Thank you, Gianna. And Senator Haywood, if you don't mind, we'll go to there'll be lots of student questions, so I want to get the students a chance to ask another question. Senator Collette, really wonderful of you to take the answer. Jess Spindler, I apologize, is from Jenkintown High School, and Jess has a question.
Hi, I'd like to just say thank you for everyone for coming out and listening to our students. So I'm from Jenkintown High School, and I'm a sophomore this year. I've grown up in the school district, and Jenkintown is a very small school. Grades 7 through 12, we have 330 total students. Throughout the school, we have many active arts programs, clubs, other extracurriculars, and sports. In fact, I'm pretty sure just about everyone is involved in at least one sport or one club. In order to keep up these sports, we do have to have quite a bit of funding. And in order to keep up the extracurriculars, we also have to have quite a bit of funding. In fact, our theater program doesn't get any funding from the school. It's all made from fundraisers. How will you, as lawmakers, represent and advocate for smaller schools so we don't get a lack of funding? Because schools like mine are surrounded by large schools such as Cheltenham and Abington. So we don't want to get the short end of the straw and end up taking the brunt of the force of the pandemic.
Great question. Is there a lawmaker that wants to speak to that?
Yes.
Go ahead, Senator Haywood.
Thank you so much. And I'm very proud of the Drakes at Jenkintown. It's a tremendous school district, tremendous basketball team, and your superintendent is doing an outstanding job. I, along with State Representative Steve McCarter, have been and will continue to be advocates for your school district. The size of it does not diminish the wealth of it. When I say the wealth of it, I mean the children, the parents, the wealth of the individuals in the district. And we will make sure that in our advocacy, small, large districts are all parts of our advocacy. I represent not only Jenkintown School District, but the Philadelphia School District, the biggest school district in the Commonwealth. And what I have found is that there is a tremendous commonality between the students, the parents, the teachers. These are all people who want the best opportunity for young people, and they are committed to it. And I can tell you that I am committed as well.
Well, thank you very much. And Jess, I really appreciate you bringing up sports, because several of the students who are on this call who were not arranged to be previous speakers, also said, can I speak to sports and the importance of sports? So thank you so much for bringing that up. And we want to make sure things like that are not an afterthought and get severed and cut in where they're cut. So thank you, Jess. Madison Palma has a question. She's from the Pottsgrove High School.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to thank the elected officials and superintendents for being here and taking the time to listen for us. My question isn't directly a what if in the future. Mine's more a personal question, so you can almost put yourself in our footsteps. My question for you guys is, what connections or events were you involved in within high school that has affected you mostly today, and why?
Wow, well, we actually heard Representative Cerisi speak to that for a second, and it looks like Representative McCarter wants to jump in.
Yeah, I'd be happy to, Donna. That's a great question. There are so many things that happen, and you have the opportunity to. I grew up in the era of the Vietnam War, and obviously that was a traumatic event for many of us living through the 60s and into the 70s. So there were things that took place related to that, many marches, many protests, but many of us also who served in the military at that time as well. We know that there are times that you'll have those opportunities. There are all different kinds of social activities that we heard from some of the students earlier in helping through clubs and so on at school. Those are the things that will also be great memories for you later on in life. And looking back at those high school years and into college, that give you the opportunity to frame the kind of person you will be. So take advantage of everything that comes along. And I'll leave with one last little thought. Right now, just reading a book on leadership by Doris Kearns Goodwin in the last month. If you get a chance, that's a great book to look at how leadership develops through those personal experiences at a young age, and many opportunities that come along to try to carve your own niche as to going forward, whether that was Lincoln or Teddy Roosevelt or Franklin Roosevelt or Lyndon Johnson in the case of what she wrote about. You'll learn a lot from that. And again, it's a great question you just asked. Thank you.
So let me ask the lawmakers to open up the chat and answer Madison's question on the chat. It'd be great for you, and Madison can read those answers and we'll have them. So every lawmaker on, please tell us what you were involved in high school that really made a difference in your life. And I know that Senator Haywood has already kicked that off. I do want to say that our good friend, Representative Tim Briggs, is on. He is unable to make the audio work, and we just want to make sure you all know that for those of you in the Upper Merion District, your state representative is here and is listening. So our next student is Jimmy Scully, and Jimmy's a student at Abington Senior High School.
Hi, yes, my name is Jimmy Shalley from Abington Senior High School, and I'm here to bring up a question regarding teachers. Teachers are not just individuals who get hired to strictly teach from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. They take on a much more important role. My math teacher is a prime example of this. Our math curriculum this year was difficult for everyone in our class. Besides teaching and helping us every minute he could in class, he offered our students to visit him after school for additional help. He would sacrifice going home to his family and relaxing, and his personal life, just so his students could do well on tests. He was also a mentor to me and taught me how to not only be a better student, but also a better person. This quick story leads me to my question, which is, how are teachers going to be affected if there are funding cuts, and is there money available for them?
Is there a lawmaker that wants to take a stab at that?
I could try to get back to Jimmy here since I know who he is and know his parents well. Jimmy, that's a great question. And when you have a teacher like that, it's a really special thing. Thank you for sharing that about your math teacher. And let me tell you, you will remember those teachers that have that profound effect on you for the rest of your life. I think back to teachers that opened your mind to a certain book and were, a certain way of thinking, and will have something that sticks in your head forever. And it's a really great thing. And, I encourage you over the years to reach back out to them, and because I'm sure they would love to hear that sort of thing. You raise a great question. I don't know if there is an answer for it, but we are going to fight for that. As many people employed as we possibly can. The teachers, if in some areas very close to us, are woefully underpaid for what they have to do. The items you noted, going above and beyond. And also, we entrust them with our greatest assets, which is you guys, the kids. They're developing you, shaping you for the future. There's really no more important job I can think of in society. So, you have my firm promise, and I know others on this call would agree with me that we're going to do whatever it takes to keep those people and, make sure they're able to make a living and keep and improve the system. So thanks for the question.
Thank you, Jimmy. And Jimmy, it's a prescient question because last time we went through a downturn in the economy in 2008, we had some federal funds that covered the school districts for the period of the recession. And the state revenues had rebounded, but the governor that then came in, Governor Corbett, did $1 billion cut across the state of the schools, and we lost 27,000 teachers and school personnel, and class sizes swelled. And finally now we're back up to the level where we were before those cuts. And it would be most unfortunate if this state deficit causes that kind of cut again. So I urge you to make sure that your students, fellow students, know how important it is to be in this conversation, and make sure their lawmakers know, and the lawmakers on both sides of the aisle know, that without teachers you can't succeed in school, and your math teacher is extraordinarily important to this work. So thank you for sharing that example. Alexis Bamford from North Penn High School, we want to hear your question.
Hi everyone, good morning. Thank you so much for having me. Can you hear me? Is the audio working? Okay, great, thank you. I just want to quickly say thank you to everyone and hello to Dr. Dietrich. I'm so thankful to him for his leadership and for the amazing education I've received during my time at North Penn. So my question is, how will, so North Penn receives a significant amount of funding from property taxes, tax revenues, but many other schools in the area are not as lucky. How will federal and state education grants be allocated, and will the formulas used take into account the strength of the tax bases that vary from district to district?
Thank you so much. Senator Hughes, as the chair of appropriations for the Democrats, would you like to take that?
Donna, why did I know you were going to call on me? All right. And Alexis, you are on the money with your question because you're following the money. You're focused on the funds, which is the biggest issue. A few years ago, I forgot the exact year, but a few years ago, we finally adopted a fair funding formula in Pennsylvania to make sure that funds that came to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania or that were spent on education were sent forth through a formula that more equitably distributed the dollars. For years, for decades, for centuries, the dollars were not distributed equitably and mostly made up from year to year based on the political scenario of what existed any given year. Who was in charge, who had the most political influence, Alexis, who had the most juice, right? Who had the most power, all right? That's how it was decided. Since the establishment of that formula, it's been much more equitable, much more thoughtful, and takes in a lot of the issues that you just raised, but make sure it's done in a way that is consistent, that everybody has a handle on and everybody understands. What we want to be in a situation this year as we distribute dollars is we take that into consideration, but we also take into consideration that we utilize the fair funding formula as the basis for getting money out to school districts. But we also, in addition to that, we can't, there is so much pain that people are going through all across the state of Pennsylvania, all across the nation, so much pain, doesn't matter which community that you're in, that we want to make sure that we're responding to that pain and responding to that economic reality, okay? I heard a statistic last night. I was on a statewide call with the state NAACP, and Congressman Boyle was on the call, and he mentioned a figure that 40%, for those individuals making $40,000 or less, the unemployment rate is 40%, not 20%, which is what the national number is for everybody. But for those individuals making $40,000 or less, the unemployment rate is 40%. And the unemployment compensation checks that are coming through are just not going to meet that number. They're not going to meet that need for so many folks. So we got to be conscious about everybody's circumstance and make sure, as Donna talked about earlier, about what happened in the after the Great Depression, where school districts were just wiped out completely, no funding occurred, that all of those issues are taken into account. And I want you to pay attention to something, Alexis, but this is for everybody. When you have a situation where the unemployment rate is over 20%, and for those individuals making $40,000 or less, the unemployment rate is 40%. And at the same time, you have the stock market zooming up at unprecedented levels, unmatched levels, as high as it was prior to the collapse from the pandemic. Something is wrong there. Something is that picture doesn't add up equitably. Something is not going right there when there's such a disconnect with the economic condition of so very few and the economic condition of so very many. So we got to create a situation where there's equity across the board, where we respond to people's pain no matter where they are, okay? And that we do it in a way that really transforms this community, this society that we're in right now, okay? And makes it better than what it was before.
Well, Senator, let me, that's the best point to leave that on, if you don't mind.
That's fine.
Make it better where it was before. We have 3 more students who have prepared questions. I want them to put those questions out there, and we'll ask the senators and the reps to respond to them on the chat. So I want Michaela Spears to start, and then we'll go to Paris, and then we'll go to Jane. Thank you, Michaela.
Hi, thank you. I want to say thank you again for giving us students this platform to speak on these important issues. My question to lawmakers is, in what ways do you think COVID has changed your view personally on school funding? And how do you plan on supporting funding for schools with their increased costs in the new reality in the wake of coronavirus?
It's a super question, and we will make sure lawmakers answer these. So, Michaela, it's not a, even though we're running late, we appreciate you raising that. Paris Thompson from my alma mater, Springfield High School.
Hi, I just wanted to say thank you for giving me this opportunity. As many have already said, education is the foundation of the future, and schools are directly responsible for teaching kids valuable life skills socially and just life in general beyond the core subjects. So with that, I wanted to ask, what will you guys do to ensure schools are actively engaging students in learning necessary life skills beyond the core subjects? Thank you.
Great question. Thank you so much. And I'm sorry, Paris, what are you involved in that you're concerned about?
Well, just I feel like my school has a lot more like resources than many other schools do, but I'm involved in so many extracurriculars, like different clubs that give me opportunities to like have leadership positions in my school like this. So I just really hope that other schools can still do that for other students that aren't as advantaged.
Thank you for Thank you for that generous thought. I apologize, I was muted for a second. Thank you so much, Paris. Jane Sue from Upper Dublin.
Hi, my name is Jane Zhao and I'm a junior at Upper Dublin. So I wanted to bring up one of my personal concerns, less related to the economic situation, but as a Chinese American, one of the things I value most about my school is the environment. I haven't gone to school worried about any adversity I might face because of my race, and I believe that perhaps it's a privilege that not all other minorities are able to experience. But as a result of this pandemic, we've already seen how it's fueled some anti-Asian xenophobia and discrimination throughout the country. I understand that there are already laws in place protecting students against any type of discrimination, but I guess my question for legislators is how will these issues specific to Asian students as a result of this pandemic be addressed?
What an important question for us all to think about, not just in terms of schools, Jane, but everywhere in society. And I will say we're so proud at Public Citizens for Children and Youth to have such a close relationship with the Asian American Chamber of Commerce and many, many organizations serving the Asian American community in these times. So thank you so much for bringing that up. We could not end this today without that important comment. Thanks, Jane.
Donna, can I comment on that real quickly?
Steve, I'm gonna have to wind this down. So if you don't mind, I'm worried that we will get cut off on Zoom and we have a little bit of an action step that we want people to take. So
okay, very good.
If you would be so kind as to respond in the chat.
I will do that.
Great, thank you. First of all, I want to thank the superintendents. You helped us bring these students together. These voices were extraordinary to hear from today. We want to thank the students. Obviously, you're teaching us a lot and you're building our motivation. We want to thank Congresswoman Dean, who's currently voting on the HEROES Act, so we'll give her a break to not be here for the closing, and all of the members of the Pennsylvania General Assembly who were here with us today, the senators and the House members. I think it says a lot about the Montgomery County elected officials who are here, that they are so interested to hear from you as students. They didn't respond because PCCY asked them. They responded because we told them that they would be hearing from students today. So students, you should understand the importance of your voice. And what I want to ask you to do today as students and your parents, if your state representative wasn't on this call or your state senator wasn't on this call, please reach out to them and make sure that you share the information you shared today with them directly. And we want everybody on this call to reach out to their US senators, Senator Casey and Senator Toomey, to also share with them directly your fears for the state of public education and what they need to do. We will be in touch with everybody after this call to continue this conversation. We think that this is the beginning of a conversation, not the end. We received some comments and questions during the call about how will school cuts affect career tech ed programs. They'll affect them the same way or worse than they will affect school districts. We received some questions about What about cyber schools? How will school cuts affect cyber schools? They will affect them the same way they will affect school districts. We've asked questions about how will school cuts affect sports and extracurricular activities. They will be the first to suffer the blow. So we really encourage you to find partners in your school district, find parents in your school district, reach out to lawmakers that aren't here, and make sure that we are building a stronger and more powerful voice for public education in this crisis. We've also received questions about how's school going to open in the fall and what's it going to be like. We don't know that yet. But what we do know is it will be more expensive, unfortunately. Schools will need PPE equipment. Schools will need new cleaning supplies. Schools may need more space. We may need more teachers so that we can appropriately social distance. So the last thing our schools can weather, and certainly the last thing our poorest schools can weather, is any reduction in local, state, or federal funding. And we really need our federal government to step forward because they are the only part of our government that has the capacity to solve this problem at scale. So on behalf of PCCY and the great staff at PCCY that put this together, Tomia, Dan, and Shirley, and all of our lawmakers, and the students, and the superintendents, we're so grateful you're part of this conversation today, and continue to stay in touch with us as we fight to make sure our schools weather no cuts. Thank you very much. Fight on. We'll be in touch. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
And a reminder to all students who did get a chance to speak, you can stay on.
Thank you. Yeah.
Your story.
Any student who is on, whether you organized ahead of time or not, and you want to tell your story, stay on this line. We're going to keep you on this video, and we'll make sure your voice is heard. And thank you again. Bye-bye.
All right, we'll give it another minute or so as people are signing off. First of all, great job to everybody. If you're still on who has already spoke, I mean, the students are just absolutely amazing, and nobody had the greater impact telling your story and what you need than you. So thank you to everybody who was able to provide that story or ask a question. I think the legislators were really impacted, and I'm sure that they're reaching out already to Shirley and Tamia and to others to say thank you, because they were impacted. You can tell by their responses. So the way we're going to work this is kind of simple. I'm going to go down my list of participants, and I want to thank everybody who sent a question and their story. And I do apologize again. As you can see, the legislators have crazy schedules, so to get an hour and a half from them was incredible. And we want to give an opportunity to you to be able to send your message, send your story, or ask a question. And what we're going to do is include this at the end of our official video, and then also send it to the legislators, and hopefully the ones that particularly represent you, we would then pass it along and they would hopefully respond. But at the very least, you get your voice heard and your story out there. So what I'd like to do is, if you did not get a chance to ask a question or tell your story already, I will basically just call on you in the order in which I have. So, and correct me if you already did, but I want to start out with I believe I have Zora, who is still on, who has not gotten a chance to tell her story or ask a question. So Zora, did you want to go ahead and just get us started?
Okay, so I'm going to start just telling my story and saying that I'm very interested in education policy, and I plan to major in education studies in college. And one of my end goals in life is to eventually become like Secretary of Education. So like that's something that I'm very interested in. And as like a student in public school, I've definitely benefited from a thing called tracking within the education system. For those who don't know, tracking is when a student is assigned to different levels of the same course or to a course with a different curriculum that is either more or less rigorous. And it kind of serves as a meritocracy that relies on teacher recommendations, guides, and student motivation to determine placement. Tracking encourages segregation on the socioeconomic level, and students on lower tracks tend to be minorities or low-income students versus on upper tracks, students come from higher socioeconomic standings, and the lower track students from this believe that they are less than, and they kind of give themselves that label. And as someone who's been on the higher track, I've been able to benefit from studying Chinese, playing the violin through elementary and junior high school, playing on the tennis team, being in student council, taking AP Gov, and being a part of Future Business Leaders of America. And all of these activities were able to turn me into a well-rounded student, but not everyone can get these experiences when they're placed onto the lower track. And because they aren't recommended for the Chinese classes or the AP Gov classes, because most of those who are recommending them don't believe that they can handle it. And I actually, when I learned about some of the clubs like FBLA, I learned about it in a computer science class, that a lot of students on lower tracks don't believe that they can take because they aren't generally recommended for it, or they think that it would be too hard. But computer science is definitely extremely important in this day and age as the field is growing and it becomes more relevant. And in addition, like, their parents might not be paying for the trips to China, the violin lessons, the trips to Hershey Park, or like the appropriate equipment for tennis, or the fancy suits that you have to wear to the FBLA conferences. I just believe that we need sufficient funding to help fix the divide amongst students, because personally, I've never had more than, or at least before my junior year, I didn't have more than 3 close Black friends in school at a time, because like we weren't in the same classes, because they weren't recommended for those classes. They were placed on the lower track from the beginning, but it took me reaching out to make those friends. And although I didn't participate much in the senior high, a club called Vibe and Imagine, it's a program that is centered around student leadership for Black students. It definitely pushed myself and many other students toward achieving our own forms of excellence. And I actually remember receiving an award from Congresswoman Dean in the 6th grade for my participation in the club. And honestly, without her support, that program would not be available. And being a part of something like that so early on helped many students fight the tracking that would ultimately make them victims of the system. And I think that with increased funding, we'd be able to help fix these gaps amongst students and support those who cannot benefit from everything, who didn't have every benefit that I've had throughout my educational career.
Zora, that's a very great point, and I think it speaks to, you know, how much opportunity means. And if there are limited resources to provide those opportunities, then students might not have a chance to prosper in the way in which you have and taken advantage of those opportunities. So that's a great point overall. Thank you very much. And I believe we just have one more student who is on, and then I know that there was another student who looks like he signed out, but I would like to tell his story because he was very eager. But Sophia, if you can go ahead and tell us what you feel a connection to when it comes to school.
Yeah. So my name's Sophia, and I wanted to talk about the opportunities that have arisen from music for me. Particularly, I've also been part of the high school orchestra since the 3rd grade, or just the orchestra program and the music program. And since then, I've had the opportunity to learn how to play the violin and participate in many festivals, including the PMEA festivals, one as a concertmaster, and 3 Montgomery County orchestra groups, all which were led by professional conductors, and also to audition for the PMEA district orchestra in high school. And playing in the orchestra at school actually has also inspired me to auditioned for a city orchestra in the 10th grade, and I've joined the advanced section since the 11th grade, and playing there has been a highlight of working with students and actually thinking of even the possibility of professional musical school, or all of these different career opportunities, which would never have been, I think, possible if I hadn't had the opportunity to just pick up an instrument in the 3rd grade. And I hope to hopefully join the university I'll be attending in the fall, be able to actually join their orchestra, and those skills would not have been possible similarly. It's been a truly transformative experience since the 3rd grade, and one that I wish every elementary school student would be able to become a part of. And this has been especially important to my family, for me to be able to learn to play the instrument at school. And this involvement is extremely important for hundreds of students in the district who are able to be involved in music, and would not be able to have this opportunity at all if this wasn't available at school, and if they weren't able to actually pick up this instrument when they were in 3rd grade. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Sophia, thank you very much. And I think it kind of speaks to, all students have their own personal connection to their school. And a lot of times they find that, within the regular classroom, or they find it with an activity or a club, whether it's music or theater or anything. And, Boroch from Abington spoke about it, and he's the student that was mentioned that was eager to speak. Sports have provided him an opportunity to receive a scholarship to a college, many colleges and universities. And, he believes that he might not have had that opportunity if it wasn't for the sports programs at his school. And I think what you're seeing across the Philadelphia region and in Montgomery County is some school districts are going to make some tough decisions that may affect those programs, whether they are music, whether they are sports or languages. And I think really the bottom line is that we have to invest in our kids. Without our investment in our kids, we can't recover with our economy. We won't have a prosperous future as a region and as a state. So I think all the students today, who told their story and their connection really made an impact. And I think what we now need to do is to make sure that our state legislators step up and lead and make sure that our kids are the top priority as we move forward as a state. So I want to thank everybody who is still remaining and anybody that's watching on Facebook Live. Again, we will be posting this full video on our YouTube channel. It will also be on Facebook, and we will also be doing another town hall in Delaware County next week, and also in Philadelphia the week after, I believe. So be on the lookout for that. Thank you very much to everybody, and I hope you stay safe. Thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you for making it possible to talk.
Great job, everybody.
Yeah, great.